Rugby Championship 2020 is on, and it's on in Australia. That's what SANZAAR has confirmed in their own words at last today. At least I think it was this morning, or was it last night? I don't know, with the time zones it gets confusing. Either way, the big news, if you've missed it, is Australia is going to host the Rugby Championship. There was talk for a long time that it was definitely going to be New Zealand. I did videos about it as well when New Zealand was 100% COVID free and we were going to have games in Christchurch with one team and Auckland with one team, and it was going to be glorious, but it's not to be. It's going to be in Queensland and in New South Wales, where I think for the most part the COVID cases are under control. Forgive me, I don't follow the COVID daily cases around the world too much. But yeah, I think compared to Victoria, they're in a pretty good state. So, yeah, Rugby Championship is confirmed. That's the good news. There's still a few kind of question marks about it. What they've put down is a 6-week tournament starting in November 7th through till December 12th. So 6-week competition, 12 matches. They'll still do the home and away thing. I would imagine kind of like we talked about in previous videos. Hopefully, I think it makes sense to base a team in a place so that they get to play all their home games in that one stadium. At least the guys get used to the feel of the stadium, you know, the way the wind blows, and if there's a slope on the pitch, slight, you know, some grounds are known to have that and whatnot. So, yeah, I think that'd be ideal. Whether they do that or not kind of remains to be seen. Why did they pick Australia and not New Zealand? What they've said is SANZAAR determined based on quarantine protocols, which is about, I think, mostly entry into the country and then how quickly these guys can get training, plus the commercial side of things. The Rugby Australia proposal was the most desirable and workable, like in terms of the logistics and whatnot. And to be fair, trying to organise an international competition between 4 teams, kind of all in different parts of the world, is a bit of a logistical nightmare during a pandemic. So, yeah, that's kind of understandable. As I said, there's still question marks. One of the question marks is about the Springboks, because their participation is not yet confirmed. There's still a few things which have to happen before the Springboks can participate. From what SANZAAR's statement says, that international sporting in South Africa is still suspended due to the pandemic. Kind of not that surprising. So they'll need the air borders to open. They'll need sport to be kind of, I guess, reinstated or allowed or an exemption or something. And they'll likely need to get some kind of rugby underway in South Africa, so these guys have at least had some game time, at least the South African-based ones. Now, this is during this November to December date is during World Rugby's adjusted international window. So in theory, any of the guys based in Europe are good to go in terms of being able to play for the Springboks or for the Pumas from a European team if they are so called up and accept that calling. So, yeah. There's also question marks about the Pumas because they've had multiple guys testing positive for COVID-19. They've had to be isolated from the rest of the guys. So that's still a question mark as to which guys can travel, whether these guys have to do a pre-flight test or whatnot. Who knows? Those things have been proven, I think, to be pretty unreliable because you can be testing negative even if you've got it in the early stages. So, yeah, there's a question mark about the Springboks. There's a question mark about the Pumas. I think New Zealand's kind of good to go. We've got our own little thing going on now, a little stoush between our government and New Zealand Rugby about why we couldn't host the tournament here because we were the early favourites to host it, with I think New Zealand Rugby pretty much saying our government didn't do enough, and the government saying, bro, we did heaps, we were going to get guys training within 3 days of arrival, but either way, it's not to be, there's no point crying over spilt milk. It's kind of reminiscent of the '03 Rugby World Cup. We were supposed to co-host it with Australia, and New Zealand kind of faffed around, and then they just went, all right, bugger you, we'll go straight to Australia, and it seems kind of like that to me, but I haven't been following it anywhere near enough. But the fact that New Zealand had a kind of second COVID outbreak probably didn't help things. So, yeah, but get the phone. I think that was probably Jacinda Ardern, our Prime Minister, telling me it's all New Zealand Rugby's fault. But either way, congratulations to Australia. I guess that's a bit of a good news story for them in terms of getting their game a bit more promotion. They seem to get their act together commercially and in terms of the quarantine stuff. So well done. And I look forward to seeing us take on the Wallabies, Pumas, and hopefully Springboks as well, if things go well in a few months. So yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts on this one. Hey, you still got doubts because this ain't the first time we've talked about these tournaments coming up, but at least this time this is coming from Sansa. So we'll see. You guys let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.